You know that feeling, right? That cold shiver, that knot in your stomach? We call it fear. And most of us, well, we spend our whole lives treating it like some kind of enemy, something to be crushed and conquered. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if fear isn't weakness at all, but a message, a really important one that we desperately need to hear?
This right here, this idea from the teachings of Acharya Prashant, it just cuts through all the noise. Think about it. That Superman persona we all try to put on for the world, the one that's confident and totally unshakable, yeah, he feels it too. And that trembling, that shiver, it's not a flaw. It's not a mistake. According to this, it is truth itself, literally knocking on your door.
And that's the big question, isn't it? If fear is a knock at the door, then what in the world is the message? That's what we're going to get into. We're going to explore what happens when we stop running from fear, and instead, we turn around, open the door, and actually listen.
Okay, so first, we have to be honest about how we usually treat this unwanted visitor. Because let's face it, our first instinct is to slam the door, lock it, and pretend we're not home the second we hear that knock. This is pretty much our default setting, right? Fear feels totally random, senseless, like a bug in the system. It feels like a weakness that we have to fight, that we have to conquer, just power through. We're always trying to become fearless. But what if that whole battle is based on a huge misunderstanding? And this is where the entire perspective just flips on its head. In this view, fear isn't random chaos at all. No, it's more like a highly precise instrument. It's a necessary disruption. And it's carrying a very specific message. It's pointing to a part of you that is, as the teaching says, falsely built, something inside that isn't standing on solid ground.
So this brings up a really interesting paradox. If fear is a message, what happens when we actually succeed in ignoring it? What's the real cost of becoming fearless? Well, without that disruption, without that alarm bell ringing, it's pretty easy to start living in a fantasy. You build up this image of yourself as strong, someone who's got it all under control.
You might even start to believe it. You wear fearless like a badge of honor. You tell yourself, I'm not afraid of anything. I've conquered fear. And here's the catch. In that state, you're not actually free. Not at all. All you've done is shut down your own internal feedback system. You've just stopped listening. The person who feels no fear isn't free. They're just numb. They've become deaf to these absolutely essential messages from deep within. They're living in this illusion of strength, but the real cracks in the foundation, they're still there, just hidden in the dark, completely unexamined. Okay, so if fear is a messenger, how do we learn its language? The secret is to understand that fear is almost never about what you think it's about. The real message is always pointing inward, not out at the world. Let's take something simple, like the fear of a job interview. On the surface, you think you're afraid of the interviewer or maybe saying the wrong thing. But this teaching suggests the fear is whispering something much deeper. It's telling you, hey, your entire sense of self-worth is hanging on whether or not this stranger gives you their approval. Or think about the fear of getting close to someone, of intimacy. You might tell yourself you're just afraid of getting hurt, that love is risky. But again, look deeper. The real message from the fear is that your very identity has become attached to or is clinging to another person. And so the thought of losing them feels like you're going to lose your very self. So you see, when you trace it back, all these fears, they're pointing to your inner dependencies. Fear is basically a diagnostic tool. It shows you exactly where you're attached to someone's approval or where your identity is clinging to something outside of you. It reveals what the teachings call the borrowed structures, the beliefs you just picked up along the way. And it shines a big, bright light on the cracks in your foundation you've been trying so hard to ignore. So fear is at the door. We know it has a message, and we know it's about our inner world. Now what? How do we actually open the door and start this totally new kind of conversation?
The process is actually incredibly simple, but man, does it require courage. Step 1, just stop fighting it. Don't try to push it away or explain it away. Step 2, actually let yourself feel the physical sensation. That trembling, let it in. And then, step 3, you turn towards it and you ask it a question. But not, how do I get rid of you? Instead, you ask, what are you here to show me?
And when you ask that question with real, genuine curiosity, something amazing happens. You find that underneath all that surface-level anxiety, there's always an illusion, a false belief about yourself or about the world that you've been holding on to.
The fear, it was just the alarm bell trying to tell you it's time to see that illusion for what it is and to finally let it go.
And when you start to do this, your whole relationship with fear is transformed. It stops being this monster you have to fight. It becomes your guide. It becomes your most loyal, most honest inner compass.
So in the end, your fear isn't a map of all the dangers out there in the world. It's a precise, totally personalized map of your own inner world. And it's pointing directly to the places that need your attention, to where the work is pending. The only real question left is this. The next time truth comes knocking, will you be brave enough to open the door and listen?